In the studios, we have someone in the studios, a youth coming from Uganda. We have Frank Kamugyisha, the CEO of Ecoplastile Ltd. He's going to be sharing with us more about his company and one of the reasons, the major reasons as to why he's actually here for the Africa Youth Connect Summit that is ongoing for 3 days. So we are going to have a one-on-one conversation before we dive into deeper much about his company and what he does and why he's here. We want to welcome you, sir. How are you doing?
I am very well. It's a pleasure to be on TV today. And yeah, like you said, always a pleasure to come to a space where there are young Africans thinking together, finding solutions for the Africa that we want.
Yes,
yeah,
and
really.
We're very, very glad that we get to have you in the studio. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, we were talking behind the scenes before we came through, and he was telling us about how yesterday was such a long day, but a very insightful and very educative day. So as a young leader who attended the opening ceremony of the Youth Connect Africa Summit that took place yesterday, can you tell us some of the takeaways that you derived from yesterday's day?
Or you give us a picture on what took place yesterday for the people who weren't there, or for the people who didn't get a chance to see what happened.
Yeah, I must say that yesterday was such an intense day, a day for big learnings. A lot of learnings did happen at the conference center. I love it when I see leaders, African leaders, come together to encourage young people and tell young people that, hey, our future is dependent on you. I loved it when the deputy president of Kenya, for example, said, the young people, you have the passion, you have the zeal, you have everything on your side. Our future is dependent on you because you can do things in a more efficient way. You can do things, disrupt industries. And so seeing a deputy president say that the future of the old generation is dependent on young people was to me such an inspiration. But also on the other hand, I would like definitely to agree with in fact, I mean, President Paul Kagame is one of the Africa's most loved president, especially for us, the young people, because his love and believing in young people, mentoring them and showing them that, look, Africa is not a continent of problems. And even when we have problems, like any other continent, of course, we can find solutions. We can have solutions for our problems. So every problem in Africa is a solution. So in simple terms, yesterday was reflecting on, okay, how far the Youth Connect has come, 10 years ago when it started, and it was actually birthed here in Rwanda with the partners like UNDP and other partners. So looking at how far the Youth Connect has gone, but also re-emphasizing the need for the youth to get up and begin to act on the challenges that we have as a continent. It was really, really fantastic yesterday. And
that was really nice. So please tell us a little bit about about yourself, but as well as your company, the Ecoplastile Ltd. That you have put together, that you have managed. For the people who have heard it for the first time or who do not even know what it is, what can you tell them? What can you share with us?
Yeah, for sure, that's a fantastic question. I am the founder and CEO of a company called Ecoplastile, and we are based in Kampala, Uganda. We are a company that works with youth and women who collect plastic, and then we use chemical-free processes to recycle these plastics into construction materials, these tiles that we sell to the construction sector. And along the value chain, we work with youth and women, increasing their earnings, of course, and enabling them to have a decent livelihood. But we also make a product that bridges the gap between the people and planet, which is key on the agenda of most of the countries. I mean, climate change, we see climate crisis and all those kind of things. So our product is responding to all those issues. Yeah.
So before we dive into the impact of what Ecoplastile does for the environment, it's very evident that you are a youth. But why did you choose to employ women in the company? Why is it that you chose to specifically employ women, as well as giving an opportunity to reduce the unemployment rate for the youth as well?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the demographics of Africa, the biggest population of Africa are young people below the age of 30. And we world over, the problem of unemployment is really evident, is existing. There are no jobs. So we need to have more jobs, more job creators. So me as a young person who is also below the age of 30, I was like, okay, I have to create a job for myself, but also create jobs for young people. Let me tell you this, the young people are just an incredible resource that Africa has ever had. Working with young people is just, I don't know how to even say it. So these young people are very innovative, even working with them, you see them, you know, they have the zeal, they want to be part of the solution to this big problem, and they are really eager to work, but they don't have those opportunities to do the work. So to me, that is one of the reasons as to why I said I have to create jobs, especially green jobs for youth and women who for a long time have been marginalized and they cannot have access to the jobs.
Wow. Yeah. So still speaking on how you are self-employed and how you came up with your own company, as a youth who has an opportunity to speak to so many and inspire so many, youth out here complain more often that we don't get jobs when we are done with school. We have the degree, but we cannot get a job. We cannot be employed. But as someone who has that issue and is looking for ways, maybe come up with excuses that there are no finances and all that. May you please share with us how you did it yourself, how you came up with your own company for the people facing the same challenges. You inspire them and give them a clue on how you brought the Ecoplastile Limited company all by yourself, and you got to even hire so many people.
Yeah, sure. That's a very fantastic question for sure. Our story is for me an inspiring story for myself as well. When I look back, 2019, when I set off to focus on this company, I had a well-paying job. I was working with a university, and as a young person at the age of 25, I was already working in office. But I decided to come, get off the form employment to go and do this. And one of the reasons why I decided to do this job, do this company, is I was looking at the big problem of plastic pollution. At that time in my country, we had, and it still happens, of course, we still have this problem. A lot of plastic, more than 600 metric tons of plastic ending up in the open environment every day, and less than 4% of this getting recycled. On the other hand, seeing millions of people languish in poverty, yet they continue to sit on billion tons of waste, which they could actually collect and resell for value. I was like, maybe we can do better. How about if we created a product from this waste so that we, first of all, solve the problem of pollution, but also create opportunities for youth and women who can earn a livelihood from this. And yeah, we started. We started in 2019. And yeah, it's been a very tough journey. Yeah. But of course, when you're doing something you're passionate about, very passionate about, something you care about, and this is what the president was saying yesterday, you must do something with a purpose. If you find purpose in doing something, everything will follow you. So when I started out, and so everybody was looking at how passionate I was and the problem I was solving, so everybody came to me, they wanted to assist me, and we were able to attract quite a number of partners. And now these partners come not only with the finance, because you realize that when you start a business, the biggest problem actually is not the finance. The biggest problem is, okay, how do you position yourself to get the finance? And so this is where partners like the UNDP, the United Development Program in Uganda, came on board to, support, because it's a development partner and they are looking at supporting, resilience, young people coming up with solutions. They came on board to assist us, but of course with other partners like government, universities, research institutions, coming to help our solution to come to life. What I'm trying to mean is that when you have a solution, when you identify a problem, and then you create a solution, people will come to help you, giving you technical assistance, financial assistance, and business development assistance. So it's just about finding a good problem and have a right solution, and the money will follow you. Everything becomes history when you have that approach.
Definitely, that is very inspiring, and it's very realistic to mention that, of course, it wasn't easy starting up something that you're very passionate about and finding a way to position yourself to be able to look legit and sound legit, so that you can be able to get those finances. So as an enterprise that is established to tackle issues such as post-consumer plastic pollution, waste management, deforestation, and climate change, amongst so many other things, do you believe that the African continent has understood the issue of climate change? And if so, how have we grown in terms of finding ways to be able to tackle this issue, which you have been able to do, you are still doing, and how are different ways in which the youth can be able to follow through the path that you have created?
Yeah, I agree 100% that Africa is beginning to realize the effects of climate change. It's so unfortunate that Africa as a continent is most vulnerable to the effects of climate change, and yet we are actually the least contributors to this whole big mess. But like I said, these challenges are big opportunities, especially for young people, so we can do a lot. One of the areas I could say Africa is getting to realize that there is climate crisis. You look at, for example, droughts, extended droughts. Usually, like in my country, we used to have seasons, and you would know, okay, this time it's going to be raining, this time it's going to be shining. But today, it's totally uncertain. You don't know when it's going to rain. You don't know when it's going to shine. So that's in its sense an example of how climate change is being is actually showing itself to the people. But on the other hand, also we see wildfires like never before. We've seen the most disastrous wildfires where fires affect millions of hectares of forest burning. We see a lot of flooding happening, and the most recent is the food crisis. Expensive food, which I think everyone relates to, because without food you cannot live. So all these challenges that we are seeing, from food supply assistance to floods, to heavy droughts, to loss of life, is an indicator of the effects of climate change. So we are living in the realities of climate change. It's no longer hearsay. We are already living with these challenges, and it's now upon us to change the way we live. We don't have options. We just have a few options now, and the biggest option that we have now is to act now, so that we don't have even a much bigger problem than we are seeing currently.
That's nice. Yeah, so as a company that tackles climate change among other challenges that you tackle, and as one of the factors that is going to be talked about in this summit that is going to be ongoing, why do you think it's important to bring this matter of climate change in such a big event that involves the youth, as well as people like you who also trying to tackle these challenges? But why, coming back to the summit, why do you think it is important for people to actually learn and know ways of how they can tackle and handle the climate change problem?
I think to me it's really important that this kind of conversation is brought on such big platforms, because when you're interacting with the leaders, you are directly interacting with the policymakers. You cannot solve the problem of pollution, climate change, if the policymakers are not willing to act. And so it means with the policies, the right policies, okay, and then these policies impacting on the programs, because when there are policies, then there are programs in place that now are put in place to tackle some of the challenges, and this is enabled by partnerships. The president said that we have Africa. It's high time African leaders recognize that the youth are partners in the development agenda. We have to create those partnerships. Yeah. The government, development partners, working with young innovators to find solutions to climate change. Because we do not have options. There is no plan B. We don't have planet B. Yeah. We only have planet A to preserve. People and planet is what we should be caring about. Everybody should be caring about people and planet. So it's very important that this conversation comes, is discussed with the policymakers, development partners, as well as the partners who are the actors, the young innovators, the Africans who have the passion and they want to find solutions to climate change.
Yeah, thank you very much for highlighting that. So as we wind up, could you quickly tell us what your vision is for Ecoplastile for the near future? And like the Vice President emphasized, we need to stop thinking that the youth are the future of tomorrow, but the future of today, so that we can start implementing the solutions that we hope to see for our continent or the world at large.
Yeah, sure, great. That's a fantastic question. Before I go that way, I would like to mention that for sure, I am here in Rwanda, not as an individual, single person. We had such a big delegation from Uganda, from young innovators to the development partners like UNDP that has actually supported us to come this far, the government itself, and universities like Kabare University. So I am representing a very big crowd of young people out there who do not have maybe this opportunity to come to the television. But what is the future? How does the future look like for Ecoplastile? Now, for example, we've learned that the biggest problem for plastic pollution in this case is people don't have the will to recycle. So there's no incentive for people to recycle. And so our vision is in the next 3 years to have presence in at least 4 African countries, and we are looking definitely at Uganda, and Rwanda could be one of the countries, Kenya and Nigeria. And we want to set an infrastructure for recycling so that people have where to recycle from. And by doing so, we can be able to recycle more than 10 million metric tons of plastic per year, which will go a long way to save a lot of carbon emission that would have been released by burning these plastics in the landfill. And of course, these will create huge amounts of job opportunities. We are looking at working with over 20,000 youth and women across the plastic value chain. This includes people who collect the plastic, sorting into the factory processing, and of course those working in the construction, installing our tires. And so we're looking at becoming one of the Africa's brand household product in the construction industry, and I believe that we can help the construction industry first of all to build towards net zero and help to bridge the gap between people and planet by creating these opportunities. So it's very ambitious, but we know we can do it because we've been able to come this far, and sure, the future is really interesting for us as Ecoplastile.
Yes, true that.
You're doing amazing, you keep at it, and we wish you all the best. But before we let you go, coming back to the summit that is ongoing, that hasn't ended yet, that is going to be ending tomorrow, what do you think is going to be the takeout? What do you expect to take out from the summit yourself? What should the youth actually learn from this summit that is going to be ending, but the people are still going with the information and can do something better with the information that is being talked about, or that is already having been talked about these 3 days?
Yeah, very fantastic question. And I saw when you go to the conference, you see very young people with passion. I love that so much. Young people trying to find, finding what's happening, what are the best practices in different countries. So I think this is a platform where young people are learning from each other. I'm getting inspired from young people in Rwanda. I'm inspiring some people from, you know, countries like Nigeria, Zambia, Kenya. So we're inspiring each other, trying to say, hey, we can do it. We can do it. We are the future. We are the today of Africa, the present and the future of Africa. Africa, we owe Africa a lot. So young people learning from each other. And so the takeaways is after going back home, because we've learned from, you know, we've had success stories, experiences, mistakes, and failure. You know, in entrepreneurship, failure is a key thing. And so learning from these experiences, failure and mistakes, but also getting feedback about what we are developing. Like you say, oh, you're doing a fantastic job. That for me is enough to keep going for the next 3 months. And so going back home, young people will want to act. They want to act and, you know, work on their solutions to create even a much bigger impact, but also make sure that, we get maybe a Youth Connect where we will have more success stories and talking about the impact that we are creating. So there's a lot of things that we are getting from this conference.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you very much. I really hope you continue to have a great time here in Rwanda and in the summit. It's just an opportunity for youth all over the continent to be able to connect and share ideas on how we can make the continent a better place. So thank you so much. This is amazing. This is one of the products.
Sure, one of the products. It's a very fantastic title. It doesn't break. So
it doesn't really.
It doesn't break. It's more, I mean, about double size of the normal clay tile and comes in different colors. And so like a normal house, you use about 1 metric tons of plastic, which saves about 20,000 kilograms of carbon emissions. It's such an amazing
So what is the website that people can be able to?
We are on www.ecoplastile.com.
All right. So thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me, and we look forward to making Africa a better place for humanity and the planet.
And when you go back, you say hi for us to your team and the people who have made this come to life and, you know, in existence.
Sure.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So that was Frank Kamugyisha here with a huge delegation from Uganda just to be able to be part of the Youth Connect Africa Summit, which is still ongoing.